All right, so we have an update in the Nolan Wells case. I was watching a clip of Don Lemon speaking to the mother. And so let's go ahead and continue watching that together. Here we go.
On Brandon Tatum. No.
I respect that, and that's the right answer for everybody, I believe. And I feel like because I mentioned him, I'm like, why did I even mention him? Because he doesn't deserve a
No,
platform.
he does not.
So let's talk about the people, the young men that he's been interviewing. They're saying they're his best friends. Some of them you said that you don't know. One of them even said, "Oh, Nolan would be outraged by the way his parents are handling this." And I'm like, wait, what? Like, why on earth would somebody go on and say that about a
Yeah.
grieving family? But
I again, distraction. We're not even gonna address them or
mm-hmm.
that man. It's we only want the truth. Again, at the end of the day, I'm gonna say it like I've been saying it. The only question we have is what happened to Nolan. That's what we need to know. That's it. That's all.
Dad, Dad, you've been here. We saw you yesterday with not only speaking up for your son, but for others as well who have been involved in mysterious deaths. That was a very emotional moment for you, and the vulnerability I saw there. What do you want to say to folks who are your wife is getting threats? She's being harassed. Those families have been treated like they're a nuisance by police departments, according to the reporting. What do you want to say to America about this?
Like my wife said, just from a parent standpoint, we just want to know what happened. We want a fair and thorough investigation, just like the other families, because we hurt just like them. If this was if this was their children, they would want to know. They would want to go to every resource they can get to the ends of the world to find out what happened. So then that's all we're doing. We're not accusing anyone. We just want to know what happened to our son because the it doesn't add up. Times don't add up, stories don't add up, and it just doesn't. So we just want a fair and thorough investigation so we can grieve properly because we can't because there are so many answers, but so many questions that are not answered.
I don't know if you want to respond to this, or Ben or Christine. The father of one of the young men who's been speaking out has put up a $50,000 reward reportedly. What do you think of that, Ben or Elmore or Christine?
Yeah, oh, we are happy with anybody who wants to share the objective to get into the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells. So we applaud it and we say, yeah, let's all work together to get answers because we, as we've said continuously, Don Lemon, adamantly, somebody saw something, somebody knows something. I mean, and that's what you want are answers.
Mm-hmm. Ben, yes, we all do want answers in this. Can you talk to us about that press conference yesterday? Because it's not just, and all of them 18 years old, these young people, right? That was a very
Yeah.
emotional press conference.
All right, so he's talking about a press conference that they had yesterday at the I think child, the former New Orleans mayor, I think it's a National Urban League. I think it was at the National Urban League, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was at the National Urban League. And they were talking about um the three families of 18-year-olds, Nolan Wells, Daniel Irving, and Tyler Smith. It says Attorney Ben Crump and National Urban League President and CEO Mark H. Morale Morial will join the families of Nolan Wells, Daniel Irving, and Tyler Smith to provide updates on their cases and reaffirm the National Urban League's support for the families as they continue their pursuit of justice and answers. I watched that yesterday. It really wasn't any updates there concerning this case in particular. This was just a conference to promote where the National Urban League stands, and that is in solidarity with these three families. This is what I'm going to say. I want us to be prepared to have whatever conversation we are going to have when the autopsy comes out. The autopsy from Washington, D.C. was released, and that was the second autopsy, private autopsy funded by Colin Kaepernick. The state's autopsy, the family got the information that was done. It is up to the powers that be if they want to release that to the family, or they can present that autopsy to the grand jury. So that was them on Don Lemon talking about that. I'm not going to stay too much on Don because a lot of the information is regurgitation. And so I just want us as a community of Black people, whatever this autopsy shows from the state when we get it, I want us to be able to have that conversation and that care plan to adhere to what we can fix and what we're going to do going forward. I want us to be mature enough to have that conversation, whatever that conversation might be. No shade. So that's all I got on Nolan Wells. Let's go ahead. And while we on Nolan Wells, we're going to travel down to office up. I'm not going to call him officer. I'm going to call him Brandon Omar. No, Brandon Orlando.